Yet, your real car never has to know.
This game, you're not ready for it.
Welcome to our journey through 25 long-lost sandwiches that America forgot. Some of these were beloved staples of diners and delis. Some were the kind of make-do meals that came out of hard times, the Great Depression, wartime rationing, or lean family budgets. Others were once cutting-edge creations, born from the minds of creative cooks and food companies, only to fade when the country's taste shifted. But every single one of them deserves a second look, because they show us something about the way America ate and the way food brought us together. By the end of this video, you'll not only know the names of these sandwiches, you'll feel like you've tasted them. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to bring one back. So before we dive in, let me ask you, what's the very first sandwich you remember eating as a kid? Comment below. Number 1. The fried bologna sandwich. The fried bologna sandwich wasn't just food, it was a ritual. The memory of it begins with a sound, the sharp pop of a skillet warming on the stove, followed by the hiss as that round, pink slice of bologna hit the hot pan. For children in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, this sound meant lunch was on its way, fast and satisfying. Parents, often tired after long shifts or stretched thin on grocery money, could still make magic happen with bologna. They'd score the edges with quick knife cuts, preventing the meat from bubbling into odd shapes. That little act showed care, a way to make sure it cooked evenly, perfectly browned, without wasting a single bite. The smell drifted through the house, salty and smoky, and kids would gather in the kitchen, hungry and excited. Once flipped, the edges curled up, crisp and darkened, almost like a little meat bowl. Then came the soft white bread, usually Wonder Bread or Sunbeam, waiting on the counter. Some parents would add a squirt of mustard or mayonnaise, others dropped a slice of bright orange American cheese into the pan, letting it melt into gooey perfection before pressing it between the bread. No lettuce, no tomato, no fancy garnishes, just hot, sizzling bologna and bread. For many working-class families, this wasn't just lunch, it was survival. Bologna was cheap, filling, and easy to store. When times were lean, fried bologna could turn a plain piece of lunch meat into something warm and comforting. It carried the weight of love disguised as simplicity. Children remember biting into those sandwiches, the heat of the bologna steaming against soft bread, mustard tang hitting the tongue, grease sometimes soaking through the paper napkin. It wasn't gourmet, it wasn't meant to impress. But ask almost anyone who grew up in those decades, and they'll smile, maybe even laugh, remembering the taste. It was childhood captured between two slices of bread. A sandwich born from thrift, but remembered with affection. Today, you rarely see it outside of nostalgia-driven diners or southern kitchens, yet for those who ate it, it remains unforgettable. Number 2. The olive loaf sandwich. Olive loaf was a polarizing star of the mid-20th century American lunch table. It wasn't just deli meat, it was conversation. Those bright green olive slices, dotted with red pimentos, turned every sandwich into something colorful, unusual, and unforgettable. Picture a child, in the 1960s, opening their lunchbox in a school cafeteria. Wrapped in wax paper, the sandwich revealed thin slices of olive loaf layered neatly on soft white bread. A smear of mustard or mayonnaise glistened underneath. Some classmates would scrunch their noses at the sight. Others would lean closer, curious, because it was different from their ham or peanut butter sandwiches. That moment defined olive loaf. You either loved it or you didn't. Mothers often chose it for its quirkiness. It stood out, looked special, and added flavor without needing much else. It wasn't expensive, but it felt like variety. The olives gave each bite a sharp, briny tang that contrasted with the creamy spread and the pillowy bread. For children who loved it, olive loaf tasted like care. It was proof that their lunch wasn't an afterthought. It was chosen with a little extra flair. Beyond school lunches, olive loaf sandwiches appeared at church picnics, wrapped in wax paper at department store cafeterias, or sold in deli counters that prided themselves on variety. It carried a sense of mid-century optimism. the idea that even the simplest food could be playful. Yet as taste modernized, olive loaf began to fade. People leaned toward fresher meats, less processed flavors. By the 1980s, it was already slipping away, surviving mainly in old-fashioned delis or the occasional curious shopper's cart. But for those who grew up with it, olive loaf sandwiches taste like a very specific kind of memory. They recall the laughter of friends at school, the feeling of unwrapping something unique, the pride of having a sandwich not everyone else had. For some, it's nostalgia. For others, it's humor. But either way, olive loaf left its mark. Number 3. The Sloppy Joe. Few sandwiches carried as much chaos and joy as the original Sloppy Joe. Born during the Great Depression, when stretching every ingredient mattered, the Sloppy Joe began as ground beef cooked with onions, ketchup, and tomato paste, seasoned however a family could afford. Spooned generously onto soft white buns, it was messy, steaming, and delicious. Children loved it immediately. Parents loved it because it filled stomachs quickly and cheaply. The sound of ground beef sizzling on the stovetop, onions softening, and tomato sauce bubbling was the sound of comfort on a weeknight. Families gathered around tables where paper napkins stacked high were as necessary as the plates themselves. Eating a Sloppy Joe was never neat. The filling slipped out with every bite, staining shirts, dripping onto fingers, making a glorious mess. But that was the joy of it. Kids laughed at the challenge, parents smiled at the chaos, and everyone left the table satisfied. The original Sloppy Joe wasn't the overly sweet canned mix many know today. It had a depth of flavor that came from patience, from simmering the sauce until it thickened, from balancing tangy tomato with savory meat. It was homemade, and you could taste the love stirred into it. During lean years, families stretched it further by adding beans, oats, or breadcrumbs. During better times, they added peppers, garlic, or Worcestershire sauce. It was adaptable, forgiving, and always welcome. The Sloppy Joe wasn't just a sandwich, it was a family event. The kind of meal you remembered not because it was fancy, but because of the laughter, the togetherness, and the full bellies it brought. Number 4. The Chopped Egg and Olive Sandwich. Not every sandwich shouted for attention, some whispered comfort. The chopped egg and olive sandwich was exactly that. Soft, cool, gentle, and quietly satisfying. Hard-boiled eggs were chopped fine, mixed with creamy mayonnaise, and folded together with diced green olives. Spread thick on white bread, often sprinkled with paprika for a little color, it was simple but nourishing. This sandwich often appeared in moments of togetherness, on church potluck tables, cut into neat triangles for socials, or tucked into picnic baskets on sunny afternoons. It was a sandwich that traveled well, that could be made in large batches, and that always seemed to bring people together. For children, it carried the tender touch of grandparents, often made by hand with patience and love. It wasn't bold like fried bologna or messy like a Sloppy Joe. It was quiet, dependable, steady, the kind of sandwich you might not crave every day, but when you had it, it felt like being cared for. Its cool creaminess, balanced with the briny bite of olives, made it distinct. It carried a whisper of something sophisticated, even though the ingredients were simple and affordable. For many, it was the taste of Sunday afternoons spent with family, where food wasn't about spectacle, but about being together. Number 5. The Denver Sandwich. Before omelets took over breakfast plates, the Denver sandwich reigned. Scrambled eggs mixed with onions, bell peppers, and diced ham, pressed between toasted bread, it was hearty and portable. This sandwich was born of necessity. Railroad workers and miners needed something quick, filling, and easy to carry. Legend says it was Chinese cooks who first adapted egg foo young into a Western sandwich, creating a fusion that fit the needs of working Americans. Served hot in diners, it became a favorite across the country. Waitresses slid it across counters with steaming coffee, workers grabbed it on their way to shifts, and families enjoyed it at kitchen tables before long days. The Denver sandwich wasn't flashy, but it carried strength, reliability, and comfort. It was food for those who built the country, who worked long hours, who needed fuel. And yet, despite its practicality, it carried joy too. The bright crunch of peppers, the savory ham, the softness of scrambled eggs. For decades, it was everywhere. And then, like many classics, it quietly faded, replaced by omelets, breakfast burritos, and fast food. But for those who remember it, the Denver sandwich isn't just a meal. It's a symbol of American grit, of mornings fueled by simple, hearty food that could carry you through the day. Number 6. The hot brown sandwich. The hot brown wasn't just a sandwich, it was an event. Born in Louisville, Kentucky at the Brown Hotel in the 1920s, it was created as a late-night indulgence for guests who had spent the evening dancing in the hotel's grand ballroom. After hours of jazz and laughter, partygoers wanted something hearty, something rich, and the hot brown delivered. Imagine a slice of toasted bread as the base, topped with roasted turkey, then smothered in creamy Mornay sauce, sprinkled with Parmesan cheese, and broiled until bubbling and golden. To crown it all, 2 crisp strips of bacon crossed over the top like a chef's signature. It wasn't a quick bite you wrapped in wax paper, it was a sit-down, fork and knife affair, decadent and comforting at once. For many Kentuckians, the hot brown carried pride. It was their local specialty, a dish that reflected Southern hospitality at its richest. Eating one meant sinking into warmth, feeling the velvety sauce melt into the bread, the turkey tender and savory, the bacon adding crunch. But beyond Kentucky, the hot brown never quite became a national staple. It was too elaborate, too indulgent for everyday kitchens. As time passed, it became a dish people read about rather than ordered. Still, for those who tasted it, the memory lingers, the richness, the extravagance, the feeling that for one meal you were being treated like royalty. The hot brown is more than just forgotten. It's a reminder that food was once entertainment, performance, and care.
Yeah, I'm an AI, but I'm here to talk apps. Real apps you can build in minutes with Base 44. This finance app solves your business headaches, tracking invoices, managing clients, keeping payments in check, all in one place. Go to Base 44 and write your prompt, what your app should do, how it should look, and the problems it should.
A sandwich that told people, you deserve something special tonight. Number 7. The ham salad sandwich. For many families, this was the taste of after Christmas, after Easter, after Sunday supper. The big feast would end, and by Monday, ham salad sandwiches filled lunchboxes, picnic baskets, and kitchen tables. They tasted like continuity, like nothing being wasted, like care in the form of creativity. The ham salad sandwich was less about extravagance and more about resourcefulness. In countless American kitchens, leftover ham never went to waste. It was chopped fine, sometimes ground, mixed with mayonnaise, sweet pickle relish, and a bit of mustard. Spread onto soft bread, it became a sandwich that could stretch a holiday ham into days of lunches. The texture was soft, but speckled with little bursts of sweetness from the pickles, the creaminess of mayo coating everything. Children sometimes groaned at seeing it again and again, but as adults, many remember it with surprising affection. It was economical, but it was also personal. No two families made ham salad quite the same way. It was a sandwich that belonged to the rhythm of family life, to the sense that food didn't just end with the feast, but stretched, carried, and provided comfort until the next big meal. Number 8. The peanut butter and bacon sandwich. Long before Elvis made peanut butter, banana, and bacon famous, there was the simple peanut butter and bacon sandwich. It was salty and sweet, creamy and crunchy, indulgent and satisfying. Picture a slice of toasted bread spread thick with peanut butter. On top, strips of bacon, still warm, crackling with grease and smoke. Pressed together, each bite was a clash of textures and flavors, nutty richness meeting salty crunch. This sandwich wasn't about frugality, it was about fun. It was for late-night snacks, adventurous kids, or families looking to add excitement to ordinary peanut butter. For some, it was a Saturday treat, whipped up quickly when parents wanted to surprise their children with something unusual. For others, it became a beloved ritual, proof that even simple ingredients could create magic. It carried a little rebellion, too. Peanut butter was wholesome, bacon was indulgent, Together they felt daring, a little mischievous, a sandwich that broke rules but delivered joy. Though it faded as taste shifted, for those who tried it, the memory is unforgettable. Because sometimes, the best food is the one that makes you smile the second you take a bite. Number 9. The cucumber tea sandwich. Not all sandwiches were heavy or messy. The cucumber tea sandwich, delicate and cool, belonged to a different world. Thin slices of cucumber laid neatly on buttered white bread, sometimes with a sprinkle of dill or a spread of cream cheese, then cut into neat little rectangles or triangles. This was the sandwich of afternoon teas, bridal showers, and garden parties. It carried elegance, a sense of refinement. Eating one made you feel proper, even if you were sitting on a folding chair in someone's backyard. But beneath the formality, there was comfort. The crunch of cucumber, the smoothness of butter, the simplicity of flavors, it was refreshing, light, and surprisingly satisfying. For many women hosting gatherings in the 1950s and 60s, cucumber sandwiches were a way of showing care, of providing something that felt special without being extravagant. They faded as America leaned into heartier fare. But for those who remember them, cucumber sandwiches carry the taste of sunny afternoons, laughter drifting through open windows, and the quiet pleasure of food that didn't need to shout to be remembered. Number 10. The peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwich. For children growing up in the mid-20th century, the fluffernutter was pure joy between two slices of bread, one side spread with peanut butter, the other with marshmallow fluff, sticky, sweet, and irresistible. It was messy. The marshmallow stretched into strings when you bit into it, sticking to fingers and faces, but that was the fun. This was the sandwich that made kids grin wide, that parents packed as a treat, that tasted like childhood freedom. It wasn't about nutrition or practicality. It was about happiness. About walking home from school and knowing that just this once, your sandwich was a dessert in disguise. For many, the fluffernutter was tied to grandparents, because grandparents didn't worry as much about sugar, and they delighted in giving kids something that felt indulgent. It tasted like love without rules, like afternoons spent laughing, like sticky fingers that no one minded cleaning up. Though health trends pushed it aside, the fluffernutter remains iconic for those who lived it. It's not just a sandwich, it's a memory of being allowed to be a kid.
Ever wondered what your home looks like from space? Enter your address and get a 360-degree satellite view of your home right now. See your city, your street, even your rooftop from above like never before.
Number 11. The chopped cheese sandwich. The chopped cheese wasn't born in a fancy kitchen. It was born on the flat-top grills of New York City bodegas. To the untrained eye, it looked like just ground beef, onions, and cheese folded into a hero roll. But to the people who grew up on it, it was more than food. It was identity. Picture it, a cook in Harlem or the Bronx, spatula in hand, chopping sizzling ground beef into little bits as cheese melted across the top. The scent of grilled onions mixed with that smoky beef, filling the tiny store with warmth. For just a few dollars, you could walk away with a sandwich that could fuel your whole day. To kids, it was the after-school ritual. Stopping by the corner bodega with friends, unwrapping a still warm hero roll filled to bursting, eating it right on the curb. To workers, it was the midnight meal, the thing you grabbed on your way home when the city was quiet but the bodegas were still alive with buzzing neon. The chopped cheese was messy, unpretentious, and beloved. It wasn't about showing off. It was about being fed, being satisfied, being connected to a place. It carried the flavor of community, of a New York that was real and unpolished. Today, it's been romanticized, written about, even imitated in upscale restaurants. But for those who remember the original, the chopped cheese isn't just a sandwich. It's a piece of home wrapped in wax paper. Number 12. The tuna noodle casserole sandwich. Yes, you read that right. For many families, leftovers weren't just reheated, they were reinvented. And tuna noodle casserole, once a dinnertime staple of the 1950s and 60s, often found new life pressed between two slices of bread. Imagine it, egg noodles, tuna, and cream of mushroom soup, baked with breadcrumbs on top. By the next day, the casserole had set firm, making it perfect to slice. A slab went onto white bread, maybe with lettuce or mayo, and suddenly you had a portable filling lunch. It wasn't glamorous, but it spoke to a certain kind of thrift and creativity. Moms in the post-war era stretched every dollar, making sure no meal went to waste. The casserole sandwich was part of that tradition, transforming leftovers into something new, keeping bellies full while teaching kids that food wasn't disposable. For many, these sandwiches tasted like resilience. They reminded families that even simple, inexpensive meals could be satisfying, and that love was sometimes found in making do. Today it may sound odd, but for those who grew up with it, the memory carries a smile. Number 13. The meatloaf sandwich. Few things say home like a cold meatloaf sandwich. After a hearty dinner the night before, families across America would wake up to find thick slices of leftover meatloaf tucked between bread for lunch. The flavor was rich, ground beef mixed with onions, breadcrumbs, and ketchup, often slathered with more ketchup or even gravy when made into a sandwich. The texture was firm but tender, a balance of hearty and comforting. For children, meatloaf sandwiches were the taste of packed school lunches, unwrapped at cafeteria tables. For adults, they were the taste of practicality, of stretching a meal across multiple days, and for everyone, they were the taste of comfort. Familiar, filling, and tied to the rhythm of family life. Eating one cold straight from the fridge was a rite of passage. Others preferred it heated, the flavors deepening as the loaf warmed again. Either way, the meatloaf sandwich wasn't just food, it was continuity. It was yesterday's dinner turned into today's nourishment, a thread tying family meals together. For many who grew up in the 50s through the 80s, the meatloaf sandwich is pure nostalgia. A reminder of kitchens where nothing was wasted and everything was shared. Number 14. The deviled ham sandwich. Underneath its playful name, the deviled ham sandwich carried a little spice, a little tang, and a lot of history. Made with canned deviled ham spread, seasoned, spiced, and salty, it was quick, affordable, and surprisingly versatile. Spread onto white bread with mustard or mayo, sometimes paired with pickles or onions, it became a lunchbox staple. For many working families, deviled ham was reliable. It was shelf-stable, easy to keep on hand, and always there when you needed a meal fast. The taste was sharp, a little peppery, standing out against the blandness of everyday sandwiches. For kids, it was either love or hate. For parents, it was practicality. For grandparents, it was nostalgia. A reminder of times when food had to last, when convenience mattered more than luxury. The little cans, decorated with a red devil logo, became iconic. Opening one was like opening a memory. Today, deviled ham sandwiches are rare, but they carry the flavor of resilience, of families finding joy in something simple, quick, and affordable. Number 15. The eggplant parmigiana sandwich. In Italian-American neighborhoods, the eggplant parmigiana sandwich was once a lunchtime king. Thick slices of breaded, fried eggplant, layered with marinara sauce and melted mozzarella, pressed between crusty Italian bread, it was hearty, messy, and deeply satisfying. The smell of garlic and tomato filled the air as delis and corner shops served them hot, cheese stretching with every bite. For workers, it was fuel during long shifts. For families, it was a taste of tradition, of recipes handed down from grandmothers who brought them across the ocean. This sandwich carried the weight of culture, of pride in food that was both humble and rich. Eggplant was inexpensive, but when fried and layered with sauce and cheese, it transformed into something glorious. For many, biting into one tasted like home, like Sunday dinners, family gatherings, and the comfort of food that connected generations. Though still found in some Italian delis, it has faded from the mainstream. Yet for those who know it, the eggplant parmigiana sandwich is unforgettable, a bite of love and heritage pressed between bread.
Okay, craziest touchdown ever.
Tennessee Titans, Music City Miracle. I called it.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I told everybody he was about to score.
You didn't tell nobody nothing. That's a fib.
New customers bet $5 to get $300 instantly in bonus bets.
Number 16. The liverwurst sandwich. For many, the liverwurst sandwich was a taste of old-world tradition. Liverwurst, A spreadable sausage made from pork liver and spices wasn't just food, it was heritage. Immigrant families from Germany and Eastern Europe brought it to America, and by the mid-20th century it was a staple in many households. The sandwich was simple, a generous spread of liverwurst on rye bread, sometimes topped with onions, mustard, or pickles. It had a rich, earthy flavor, smooth and savory, with a depth that kids often found overwhelming but adults cherished. To children, opening a lunchbox and seeing liverwurst might feel embarrassing. The smell was strong, the taste unusual. But to parents and grandparents, it was a link to the past, a reminder of meals they had eaten back home or in leaner times when nothing was wasted. The liverwurst sandwich carried a certain dignity. It wasn't flashy, but it spoke to endurance, to cultural pride, to holding on to traditions even as the world changed around you. For those who loved it, it was comfort, a taste that anchored them to their roots. Today, it's harder to find, fading into memory for many. But those who grew up with liverwurst sandwiches often say the same thing. It may not have been for everyone, but it was unforgettable. Number 17. The turkey croquette sandwich. After big holiday meals, especially Thanksgiving, families often found themselves staring at mountains of leftover turkey. Enter the croquette, a way to reinvent leftovers into something golden, crispy, and delicious. Turkey meat was chopped and mixed with breadcrumbs, onions, sometimes even mashed potatoes, shaped into patties and pan-fried until crisp. These croquettes were then tucked into bread or rolls, sometimes topped with gravy or cranberry sauce. The turkey croquette sandwich wasn't just about thrift, it was about creativity. Families turned what could have been repetitive leftovers into something that felt new, exciting, and deeply comforting. The crunch of the fried exterior, the soft, savory filling inside, the bread soaking up every bit of flavor, it was a sandwich that turned yesterday's meal into today's delight. For children, this sandwich was often tied to holiday memories. After the big feast was over and the relatives had gone home, croquettes meant the celebration continued. For parents, it was pride, a way of stretching food without sacrificing joy. Today, few families make turkey croquettes, but for those who remember, they carry the warmth of holidays, of kitchens filled with laughter and resourcefulness. Number 18. The sardine sandwich. Few sandwiches are as divisive as the sardine sandwich. To some, it was pungent, fishy, and unwelcome. To others, it was pure comfort, a taste of home and tradition. Made simply, sardines mashed with mustard or mayonnaise, spread on bread, sometimes with onions or lettuce. It was inexpensive, full of protein, and easy to keep on hand, thanks to canned sardines. For working-class families, it was reliable. A can of sardines and a loaf of bread could provide multiple meals. For immigrant families, it was also cultural, a link to Mediterranean or coastal traditions where sardines were beloved. The smell made it unforgettable. Kids might cringe if their parents packed it for school, but adults often ate it with pride, savoring the salty, rich flavor. For many, it was the taste of resilience, of making do with what was available and finding satisfaction in simplicity. Though
They sit here talk about a sardine sandwich made with sardines, mayonnaise, and made with sardines, mayonnaise, and tomatoes and cucumbers. They said that was what they used to make in the past. That's not there no more. Mm. That's what I've seen her doing. I seen her cleaning. She was washing the dishes and stuff. She was washing the dishes and stuff. I don't know. That's what I thought she was doing. And then she swept up the floor, the stuff on the floor. That's all I seen. What food? Why would she do that? Well, you need to holler at her about that. And then she need to buy some more food.
Rare today, sardine sandwiches linger in memory as a symbol of thrift, tradition, and bold flavors that refuse to apologize. Number 19, the bologna and potato chip sandwich. This was childhood rebellion in sandwich form. Take 2 slices of bread, a few rounds of bologna, and then the secret weapon, a handful of potato chips crushed right inside. The result was magic: soft bread, salty meat, and the crunch of chips in every bite. It was playful, creative, and endlessly satisfying to kids who wanted to make something their own. For parents, this sandwich was cheap and easy. For kids,
Hmm? But she's not even clean. I'm about to then now that that's over, I'm about to start building that area.
it was fun. A way of breaking rules in the kitchen, of turning ordinary food into something special. The crunch of the chips made it feel indulgent, almost mischievous, like a little culinary secret. The bologna and potato chip sandwich wasn't just food, it was
Yeah, she needs to get treated with something then if she did that.
memory. It was the sound of chips crackling as you bit down, the laughter of siblings daring each other to add more chips, the comfort of
What? And the piano fought back. It, it, it hit them on the head and all. No, they was a lot of people was hitting soft. That shit was easier. Those hitting soft, too soft.
of knowing lunch didn't have to be serious to be
The
good.
tall girl down there
Even today,
busted it.
adults who grew up with it smile at the thought. It wasn't gourmet, but it was joy.
Eve to me is
That's
basically
all the
freedom.
kids
It's
with.
a giant open universe where you can.
Number 20. The Chicken a la King Sandwich. In the mid-20th century, chicken a la King was a glamorous dish, creamy chicken in a velvety sauce with mushrooms and peppers, often served over rice or toast.
Right.
But in many households, it found its way into sandwich form.
I made it rain on them.
Leftovers were spooned onto bread,
That's what I did.
making a rich, messy fork and knife kind of sandwich. It was indulgent, warm, and comforting. Families
wasn't
often
down
served
there.
it on
I let it
weekends
rain.
when there was time to cook slowly and savor.
It was raining
The
candy.
chicken a la King sandwich
Yeah,
carried a
everybody
sense
got
of
a lot of
celebration. It wasn't everyday
They were
food.
so happy when it was
felt
raining
special,
candy.
elegant even.
That candy's hitting them
For
on top of the
children,
head.
it tasted
I
like
thought it was
luxury,
hurting.
like eating something reserved for fancy dinners. For parents, it was pride, proof that even on a budget, meals could feel sophisticated. Though it fell out of fashion as cooking trends changed, the memory of chicken a la King sandwiches lingers as a symbol of mid-century abundance, of kitchens where love was ladled onto plates and tucked between bread. Number 21. The Shrimp Po' Boy. The Shrimp Po' Boy isn't just a sandwich. It's a story of resilience, community, and flavor, born in Louisiana. Its roots trace back to the Great Depression, when streetcar workers on strike were given free sandwiches by a pair of brothers who owned a restaurant. They called the workers poor boys, and the name stuck. The po' boy came in many forms: roast beef, oysters, catfish. But the shrimp version became iconic. Imagine crispy, golden fried shrimp piled high inside a crusty French roll, dressed with shredded lettuce, sliced tomato, pickles, and a slather of mayonnaise or hot sauce. The bread crackled on the outside, soft within, soaking up every drop of flavor. For locals, the shrimp po' boy wasn't just lunch. It was a taste of home, of the Gulf, of kitchens where frying shrimp was an act of love. Eating one meant more than filling your belly. It meant carrying tradition, savoring the bold, briny, spicy soul of New Orleans. At family gatherings, festivals, or simply after church on Sunday, the shrimp po' boy was there. Its flavors brought people together, celebrating culture through food. Today, it still thrives in Louisiana. But beyond the South, it remains a treasure people rarely encounter. For those who have, it's unforgettable, a sandwich with history and heart in every bite. Number 22, the pimento cheese sandwich. In the South, pimento cheese wasn't just a spread, it was a way of life. Made from sharp cheddar, mayonnaise, and diced pimentos, it was tangy, creamy, and versatile. Spread thick on soft white bread, it became the beloved pimento cheese sandwich. This sandwich carried the feeling of summer afternoons, of picnics under magnolia trees, of church socials where tables sagged under the weight of casseroles and pies. It wasn't expensive, but it felt like hospitality itself, bright, flavorful, and comforting. Children loved it for its creaminess. Adults loved it for its kick, often spiced up with hot sauce or paprika. Grandmothers made it in big bowls, chilling it overnight so the flavors melded perfectly. The next day it filled sandwiches cut into neat triangles, each one tasting like Southern tradition wrapped in love. Though still alive in certain corners of the South, the pimento cheese sandwich has faded from the national stage. But for those who remember it, the taste is more than food. It's the memory of being cared for, of slow afternoons when the biggest concern was whether you wanted sweet tea or lemonade with your sandwich. Number 23, the open-faced roast beef sandwich with gravy. This wasn't the kind of sandwich you picked up with your hands. It was a fork and knife meal, hearty and comforting, served in diners and family kitchens alike. Picture slices of tender roast beef laid over thick bread, then smothered in rich brown gravy until the sandwich disappeared beneath the sauce. Mashed potatoes often sat beside it, soaking up the extra gravy. It was filling, warm, and deeply satisfying, food that anchored you on cold nights or long days. For working families, this sandwich carried pride. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like abundance. It was the taste of Sunday dinners stretching into Monday, of roast beef repurposed into something just as comforting as the feast before. The smell of the gravy simmering, the way it clung to the beef, the bread growing soft under its weight, it all felt like care, like nourishment. Though less common today, for those who remember, the open-faced roast beef sandwich tastes like home. Number 24, the peanut butter and honey sandwich. While peanut butter and jelly became the classic, peanut butter and honey held its own quiet magic. Simple yet sweet, it was the sandwich of school lunchboxes, picnics, and quick snacks before bedtime. The honey seeped into the bread, making it sticky, golden, and fragrant. Paired with peanut butter's nutty richness, each bite was both comforting and indulgent. For children, it felt special, like dessert disguised as a sandwich. For parents, it was wholesome, natural, and easy to prepare.
I'll miss your new car smell.
Have a fling with our newest fleet
I don't know
yet.
why she be
Your
always
bill co-
trying to do that. That
The
shit is
peanut butter
weird.
and honey sandwich carried a
She always
gentleness.
try to do it.
It wasn't
Then
loud or
before
flashy, but it tasted
she
like
be telling
safety,
me in the
like
car,
afternoons
like when
spent
she go buy
outside
shit for
until
the
the
house,
sun went
she
down.
be like, "Oh,
Like
can I take a
childhood
piece
summers
of
when
it out?"
time
I'm
moved
like,
slower.
"Your hand's not
Though
clean.
less common today,
Why would you
many
want to
who
dig
grew
in
up
it
with it
before
remember it
anybody
with
eat it?"
affection.
Like,
The way
that's just
honey
weird.
dripped onto fingers, the way the sandwich always seemed to stick to the roof of your mouth, forcing you to smile as you chewed. Number 25, the club sandwich. Finally, the club sandwich, layered, indulgent, and iconic. Triple-decker bread stacked with turkey, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, cut
I
into
hate when people
quarters and
don't
held together
wash
with
their hands.
toothpicks.
That shit
The
is
club
irritating.
sandwich was the pride of diners, hotel restaurants, and airline trays. It was a sandwich that said special occasion. Families ordered it when they wanted to treat themselves. Businessmen ordered it in hotel lounges. Travelers ate it at 30,000 feet, its neat presentation making airplane food feel a little glamorous. The crunch of bacon, the freshness of lettuce, the richness
That's
of turkey,
Jeremy.
the
It's
tang of
Jeremy.
mayo, every bite was balanced,
Yeah.
structured, and satisfying. It was
You
a
do a
sandwich that
day.
felt sophisticated without being pretentious. For many, the club sandwich carries the memory of eating out, of being served something tall and impressive, of sharing
And then y'all
triangles
was
with friends
outside getting
or
all that
siblings.
candy and it was
Today,
poop on the
it still
ground.
exists,
And
but its
y'all go
heyday
and
has
eat
passed.
with your hand.
Yet for those who remember, the club sandwich isn't just food, it's nostalgia
Y'all
stacked
crazy.
high, toothpicked together with pride. And there you have it, 25 sandwiches that once filled America's kitchens, lunchboxes, and memories, but have slowly slipped away. Each one carries a story of family, tradition, and love. Which one would you bring back? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your favorites. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.
The party had already started. It was like maybe 4.
Yeah, it's also annoying when she do that. She misses every damn thing.
She didn't be doing that with me. That's not good. You need to like be have butter. Not be stepping on house. Yeah, she called me. It was like 3:34, and she was like, "Oh, I was asleep. I'm about to get dressed now."